The first player that you should consider picking up must add running back Justice Hill, because Justice Hill and Gus Edwards both had 8 attempts, right? J.K. Dobbins was getting the lion's share of the carries right off the bat, but J.K. Dobbins goes down, officially torn Achilles. He is out for the season, and it's a devastating injury. Let's just take an aside before we dive into Justice Hill. It's a devastating injury for J.K. Dobbins because he's out for the year. He's probably out for part of next year. It's going to be difficult for him to work his way back within a year from an Achilles injury. We saw a few other players work their way back from Achilles injuries and have mixed results, right? Before a couple years ago, we had no sample size of players who had any level of success in the NFL with Achilles injuries. Now we've had Donta Foreman, who has had a couple competitive seasons, especially last year for the Carolina Panthers. And then we also have Cam Akers, who worked his way back from an Achilles injury, and we've seen mixed results from him as well. We saw some really high spike weeks, but we also saw the coaching staff move away from Cam Akers both this year and last year in various aspects. So we've had still some mixed results. We haven't seen a player come back and be completely dominant in their previous selves. And J.K. Dobbins, I was so in on. It's devastating not only to see this young man, 24 years old, who is just a good guy, number one. Number two, he's been crushing at the NFL level. He was top 5 in most efficiency metrics over the past couple of years, over 5 yards per carry and over 5 yards per true carry. Each of the past few years, his juke rate was phenomenal. And he was doing that all against fronts that were some of the heaviest in the NFL. So he was able to really impress. Now, on the other hand, Justice Hill, not as impressive. 8 rushes, 9 yards, 1.1 yard per attempt, 2 rushing touchdowns though. And you're like, wow, yeah, 2 rushing touchdowns. And that's why he's at least on the waiver wire, because Gus Edwards and Justice Hill are probably going to be splitting. But a few signs of worry for me. If I'm prioritizing Justice Hill or Gus Edwards, I probably am putting Edwards ahead. But there are some flaws to Justice Hill. First of all, he wasn't able to carve out a secondary role. Like when J.K. Dobbins went down the first time, we expect, oh, maybe it's Justice Hill or maybe someone else. But Hill dealt with injuries. He's dealt with ineffectiveness. He's in small samples. Justice Hill has extreme athleticism. So when he breaks off big plays, he can certainly do it. But 5.4 and 5.0 yards per carry over the last 2 seasons. He missed all of 2021 due to injury, but he hadn't scored any touchdowns since 2019. This is a player, though, with great speed, like 4.40, 82nd percentile speed score, a 96th percentile burst score. But I'm not convinced that he's actually a good runner or good rusher. So Justice Hill is a player that you need to add because the opportunity could be there, but not because he has shown much to us in the efficiency side. 1.13 yards after contact per attempt. And it's just concerning because he's not really using as much of a pass catcher either. So Justice Hill is an add and a must add in many leagues because he could win the job over Gus Edwards. I'm just not convinced that he could be the answer. I think at best case scenario for Justice Hill, it's like a 55-45 split with Gus Edwards, because I don't think Gus Edwards is going to go away. All right. But Justice Hill coming off the 2 touchdown game, maybe he's trusted in the goal line work. That could be his role. And Gus Edwards is just between the 20s. Justice Hill, though, you need to add him because J.K. Dobbins is out. Running back, it's so much more about the opportunity than it is about skill. And Justice Hill is going to get some opportunities over the next few weeks and perhaps the rest of the offseason, given the injury to J.K. Dobbins. If you like the content and find this helpful, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. Really helps the channel.